Boys have been forgotten. It's called the Boys to Men. It's a mentorship program for boys. And the final one is an STI program for mainly in Nairobi County. And we are offering the services free of treatment. And we are doing testing, lab testing, and treatment 100% free. God bless you and be healthy. Asanteni.
Thank you, Dr. Kinyanjui, and thanks for that support. We know the financing landscape has changed and has changed for good. A lot of our interventions will require to domestically resource mobilize to ensure the protection of our population. He's thrown a challenge to us, Dr. Mulwa, regarding the development of our integration guideline, which will ensure that there's uniformity in service delivery, reproducibility of the results, and I think we need to pick that up so that we can be able to give guidance. Allow me at this juncture to call upon the Director of Equity at UNAIDS, Jaime Ascona, to be able to share his reflections from the global community. Karibu.
Distinguished chief guests, Honorable Musalia Mudavadi, Principal Secretary Oma Olunga, and all government authorities, civil society partners, and others. On behalf of UNAIDS and the UN Joint Team on HIV and AIDS, I'm honored to join you, and I want to remind that we are commemorating this World AIDS Day with two powerful themes. Globally, overcoming disruption, transforming the AIDS response, and in Kenya with this one race, one goal, ending AIDS among adolescents and young people. But we need to remember two things. Despite all the progress we have had, we are also facing challenges. 1.3 million people acquired HIV last year and 9 million still lack treatment. There are signs of hope though, and I think Kenya is showing them with the resilience and partnership that it inspired us. You are leading the journey to HIV integration and sustainability with communities stepping up. Youth-led initiatives are empowering young women to protect themselves and their futures, and people living with HIV, leading, innovating, and refusing to be left behind. Let me just finish by calling to action to remain and strengthen the HIV response by mobilizing domestic resources, championing human rights, scaling up and securing affordable and accessible innovation from long-acting prevention to digital health solutions, addressing structural barriers, as is said today, teenage pregnancies, gender-based violence, and harmful social norms, and strengthening community-led initiatives because they are our anchor towards the finishing lines. UNAIDS remains committed with the people of Kenya, with the government of Kenya, with you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jaime. We appreciate the technical and financial support from UNAIDS that makes our programs more responsive to the needs of our people. Allow me at this juncture to introduce the Chair of the Board of Directors of the National Syndemic Disease Control Council, Mr. Ahmed Abbas, to be able to also share his thoughts with us.
Good afternoon, His Excellency Musalia Mudavadi, Prime Cabinet Secretary and CS for Foreign Affairs, PS Health, the board and the staff of NSNDC, communities living with HIV, our development partners, good afternoon. Good afternoon again. Your Excellency, a lot of progress has been made since HIV was first discovered in this country in the year 84. We are far away from where we were, but a lot needs to be done still, particularly our young people. Vijana, mulisikia the three threats. Na hiyo yote, the three threats, they're all around the young people. See. People your age. Hapo ndio iko shida Kenya. Ni kama wazee wameogopa. Everybody else is scared, but something needs to be done about your team. Please, I think there's a need for a change of behavior and attitude by our young people. Raha ya siku moja isiweke wewe shida. And if you must do something, please protect yourself. Wasichana, msidanganywe ati ndio kama hajakuja na hiyo kitu a few hours won't do any harm at all. So at NSDC, our mandate is to coordinate a whole of government and a whole of society response against HIV and other endemics. We will continue to work with both counties, civil society, religious institutions, our partners, and most importantly, our communities, to ensure that no adolescent, no young woman, no young man is left behind. Finally, I wish to sincerely acknowledge our partners for the general support, financial, technical, and logistical, which has made this event possible. Your dedication shows what's possible when we work together, walk together, and run together. Finally, I want to thank the board and the staff of the NSCDC for organizing such a wonderful event. Please clap for yourself. Everybody who have come here noted how everything was well organized, from the morning, the marathon, from the starting point to the route and how it ended. And finally, Your Excellency, I'm sure you are aware there have been a dwindling support from our partners in regards to the funding for HIV-related activities. But appears, so Kisika NSDCC, if we ask for something, tafadhali, you know we're dealing with life matters, people's life. Tafadhali weka tu kidole. Bosira kikuletea, hata hapa nauliza, Your Excellency, if you hear something ourselves coming to the ministry at the cabinet or at the cabinet committee, tafadhali, because we deal with life, human life matters, that our actions per day can either make life or death. So we are seeing, if you see us insisting on a particular amount of money, tafadhalini, government can cut on any other things. If you are told to rationalize for your ministry and your state department, kata mali ngine yote lakini NSDC wachana nayo. Kama hutaongeza wachana nayo. With those few remarks, asanteni sana.
Thank you, Chair. I think Chair has done his job very well, because one of his roles is to be able to resource mobilize and ensure protection of the resources allocated to the state corporation. At this juncture, I want to call upon the Chair of Kenya Women Senators Association, because lawmaking is critical. Resource allocation also falls within our lawmaking structure, and therefore senators who are here under the leadership of the Chair of Kenya Women Senators Association, Senator Veronica Maina, you have the floor, please.
Wakenya hoye! Kwani mmechoka sana? My name is Senator Veronica Maina, Chair Kenya Women Senators. And before I address you PCS together with all distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to request my colleague senators to be upstanding, and reading in the mood in the room, I will ask them to wave at the people. We have Senator Kademuma at the right end, followed by Senator Betsiengo in the center, and our Gen Z youthful senators, Senator Essie Okenyuri. Asante sana. Allow me to ride on established protocols, Honorable PCS, because time is far gone. And I want to take this opportunity to sincerely thank NSDCC for the great partnership that they have given to Kenya Women Senators and to the Senate. Let me thank them today, because this is one of the events which has the best programs I have attended in relation to young people. Let me thank you for hacking it on communication, because it doesn't look like you actually set this program. It was set by the Gen Z. There was a lot of music, the language they understand, and we have enjoyed the day. Today there was a race to be ran, and we have ran it. One race, one goal. We ran one race, and Kewosa is determined to support this initiative. Why? Because one of the reasons why women empowerment and gender empowerment has been hampered is because of issues like what you're seeing in the triple threat: early teens pregnancy, SGBV, and early HIV infections. And it's very well known, HIV and AIDS infections affect women disproportionately, and women really take the brunt of this scourge. Let me take this opportunity to say that Kewosa will walk the journey with you. We invited you during Senate Mashinani, we invited NSDCC to go with us to Busia, and we did a whole program there. And we are grateful for the work we did in Busia, having some of the highest teens pregnancies in the country. And when Governor Lusaka saw the program, he invited us to Bungoma, and we called you, and you came. Can you give it up for NSDCC? It's in touch with the people, and it's doing the right thing to make sure they sensitize Kenyans about the HIV status. PCS, we do have a problem. You know, in Africa, and Kenya being in Africa, sex is not discussed openly because there are issues that culture holds back when it comes to sex education. Maybe a time has come for the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Health, NSDCC, Parliament, legislature, all actors, executive, to come together with the parents and the teachers, to discuss what should we have as sex education, so that if we have to eliminate this threat by 2030, we must do things in a way that we have not done them before. Even if that sex education will have to be approved by the church. Because what has happened now, PCS, is that the social media has preceded the parent in guidance on matter sex. The social media is the one that is now teaching the parents and giving the first lesson on who is a boy and who is a girl. Time has come for us to come round the table, even if it means it's Bishop Muheria who will do that program. Let's have an acceptable program for sex education so that from a young age, we are able to tell our children who they are, to affirm their identity, and to avoid the confusion of what we are seeing in identity, in gender identity, sex identity, and even in identity as personalities. All stakeholders must come together. As Parliament, we undertake a Senate. We are ready and waiting for the curriculum you will agree on, and we are going to endorse it, agreed by every stakeholder. One final thing I would want to say is that when we were in Bungoma, in Mount Elgon, as we did the engagement with the community, we sought to know what was the problem and why were young girls, why were old men sleeping with young girls who are in school and making them pregnant. And one of the things we learned was that there was parental neglect. Another issue that we have to check as parents. Maybe on another day we can engage more and look at all the factors. We ask the students to write for us small papers, not to write their names, but to tell us what is it that they want to communicate to us about the issues we had discussed on teens pregnancy, SGBV, and HIV infections. You do not want to see what is in those papers, because we assured them the teachers were not reading those papers, but we found that even within the domestic setting, the first risk comes within the people who live around the victims. So you have to check who is around your child, who are they communicating with, who are you inviting to your homes to live there. And Honorable PCS will have to have a candid conversation if we have to achieve the one goal that we are looking at, to end HIV by 2030. Finally, to those who are affected by HIV or who are living within the status, with the HIV status, HIV and AIDS status, I want to assure you that today, in this day and time, treatment is there, you don't have to die for AIDS. As you pray for help and you pray for God to touch you, just know that if you approach the Ministry of Health, the hospitals, all these stakeholders who have been announced here, you don't have to die from HIV. Doctors, you tell us now today that there is one tablet. It is not a host of those many tablets that we had before. I hear there is now one tablet, and I believe we should have that education about HIV. And 2 days ago, as I wind up, I was doing my normal medical test for the ear, and the doctor asked me, do you want to do a HIV test? So 3 days ago, I subjected myself to the testing for HIV status. So why don't you test so that you can be careful and you can take care of your neighbor? So when you leave here, if you do not know your status, please make sure you talk to doctor. Even Dr. Luga is here, he will guide you. Talk to the doctors and do your test. Take care of yourself, take care of your neighbors, stay safe. God bless you. Veronica Maina.
Thank you, Mheshimiwa. Thank you, Mheshimiwa. I think it's true we need to have that conversation about comprehensive sexuality education. Countries that have gone that direction have reaped significant dividends. And it's a high time as a people of Kenya, we come to a table for that honest discussion. At this juncture, allow me to invite the Principal Secretary, State Department of Medical Services, to be able to take over the rest of the program. Karibu PS.
Excellency Prime Cabinet Secretary, Honorable Dr. Musalia Mudavadi, as you can see, sir, I'm limping, and I am really thinking on this return on investment for running this morning, because you know, I was very happy that I was given a medal for completing 10 kilometers. Then I realized everyone was being given a medal. So I think NSDCC was trying to play with my mind, but my leg is hurting. Next time, sir, before just coming for any marathon, I will think twice. But I want to thank you so much, sir, for gracing this occasion and for being very kind with us, with the time, and also with our young people. We value your leadership, and as you know, sir, we are at a very critical juncture in the response to HIV and AIDS at this point in our country. We've made a lot of progress. We celebrate that progress, but we also have challenges that we need to tackle. Key among them is the new infections in young people, and has already been told by the linkage to gender-based violence and also the linkage to teenage or unwanted pregnancies. And that three form a big assignment for the government, and we are working on it, sir. From the State Department Medical Services, we are very keen to support all our institutions. Chairman, we always work to support NSDCC. NASCOP is also our institution. All the hospitals that were here, I can see the CEO of Jaramogi. You can stand and wave to people. Yes, and also the CEO of Kenyatta National Hospital is also here. And we work together as one team to make sure that our HIV response is comprehensive. Sir, I do not have much to say. I just wanted to note, sir, that I am a physician, and I have been very privileged to work in a comprehensive care center. And I used to work in Vihiga, sir, and I took quite a bit of time there. And I was the doctor who was in charge of the clinic, the comprehensive care clinic. And on Friday, I gave a story about where we have come from, because that time I was a medical doctor. There was a young girl, 8 years old, who had come before me. She was quite wasted, was looking younger and less weight for her age. And she was frail and really sick, had some fever. and also convulsion. I gave this story because this story really anchors how we approach response. So this young girl, sir, was living with her grandmother, and she was coming from around one of the villages in Vihiga. And so when she came by herself. She was not accompanied. And when I was attending to her, you know, you start to ask questions. You realize that she's a very brave girl, and she can answer some questions. But, you know, at 8 years of age, you can't answer all the questions. And then she told me that her grandmother had sent her to pick medicines. And so, you know, the decision we wanted to make that morning was to admit her because she was really sick. But now, for children, the decision has to be made by an adult who is not there, and we are the doctor. So I had to call the social worker, then get to the chief, and then later we got the grandmother. And the first reaction when such a grandmother comes to the hospital, sometimes for us as health workers, I'm not saying I'm one of them, is to start quarreling them, ask them, why do you let such a young girl come to hospital alone? And then it becomes a different story. But I listened to the lady, the grandmother, and she told me that the parents for this young girl had passed on. There were 3 of them in the family, and she was living with 8 of her grandchildren. And that morning, they had, you know, she had gone to work in a farm so that she could get food to feed all the grandchildren. And it gives you the socio-economic context within which we have to deliver healthcare services. But it also tells us a story, because when I attended to her, admitted her, and then later, of course, she got well, because of the infection she had, which we call meningitis, she started convulsing. So she has to go see a doctor for children, called a pediatrician, because she has to go to that clinic. And then she has to come again and see me in this clinic for HIV. So she has to ask clinic twice. For somebody who could not even attend the HIV clinic once, then now we have to split, and then she has to go pick the medicines for convulsion, and then go again pick the medicines for HIV. And this is an 8-year-old whose grandmother does not even understand the circumstances, and it's the challenges that we've had. And in that time, sir, we developed a small program to integrate. And so because of her and some other people, we decided to combine the clinic. But it was luck, because at least I was the doctor who had seen, and so we could combine those clinics. This is what actually we are talking about in terms of integration, to make sure that we make it lighter for everyone who is living with HIV, to make it lighter on the socio-economic burden, the things that families have to go through to decide on care, whether to take somebody for hypertension treatment or to take somebody for HIV treatment. And sir, this is really what we are doing right now, called integration and consolidation. And for me, I am extremely grateful to His Excellency the President for having appointed me to this position. And one of the things I tell our staff, there are very many people who get jobs, but there are very few people who get the jobs they love. But more importantly for me is to put all of that context together as we design our new HIV responses, to make sure it works for the person who does not know anyone, who is not in this room, who will not watch TV today, who can't tweet, who does not even know Irene, because today they were so busy going to look for food, and to make sure that our government responses are felt by the people. And sir, that's the assurance we want to give you, that this is what we are doing in the State Department for Medical Services. And sir, with those very many remarks, I want to just call my colleague PS for Children Affairs, just to say hello, and then okay. Okay, I think, do you want to say something, please? Yes, PS for Children Affairs, Madam Karen Agengo, just to address us briefly.
Thank you, Chief Guest, Prime Cabinet Secretary, and the Cabinet Secretary for Foreign Affairs, my colleague, PS Dr. Oluga, our senators present, all the dignitaries, good afternoon. Mine is to briefly say that when I listen to the speeches, it correlates with what we get as the State Department for Children's Services. One key issue that we are getting in the report about children is parental neglect, and we are receiving cases of about 70% of all cases reported about children are issues of parental neglect. The second is about children in conflict with the law. We are getting over 70% of cases of young children between 12 years and 17 years being in conflict with the law, and one major reason is that these children are being charged for defilement. And so when I look at new cases of HIV infection among the young people from 14 years to about 24, then it correlates with what we are getting at the State Department of Children. The reason is that our children are interacting with each other. We have children getting children. So we have boy, girl, ending up having children, and Chief Guest, this is the main reason why we are having these high cases of HIV infection. And so I want to agree with Senator Veronica that we need to go deep and educate our children, because the new cases are coming out of our children, and so we need to do something. And so a lot of awareness needs to happen among the young population for us to reduce the new infections. Chief Guest, that is what I wanted to pass the message across, that we need to work as a team, our senators, our members of parliament, and the whole of government, to focus on the young people in schools for us to be able to reduce the new infections. Thank you very much, and may God bless you.
Thank you, PS, and His Excellency. As we invite you, would like to request that a short video that you have advised us, you know, it's good to have wisdom and to have been in leadership for quite some time, because His Excellency has advised that we can observe this. It's just a very short clip. Thank you so much. His Excellency, the Prime Cabinet Secretary, wanted to remind us that the past is not past. And on such a day as today, we have to remember where we have come from, and we have to work hard never to go back there. Your Excellency, now I request that we all be upstanding as we invite you to make your remarks. Thank you,
so much. Wapi makofi tafadhali. Karibu sana, our chief guest. Address your people. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, senators. Good afternoon, my fellow public officers. Good afternoon, all the good people in this podium. Hamujambo. Asante. I will first read the statement by His Excellency the President. He was destined to be the chief guest, but he had to handle some other matters, and he asked me to come and represent him. So I will make his speech first, and then I'll take 2 minutes towards the end to say one or two things. Good afternoon, all of you. I am honored to join you on this special day as we come together to mark and commemorate World AIDS Day 2025. The significance of this day is underscored by the profound impact that HIV and AIDS have had on humanity across the globe. For more than 4 decades, this epidemic has tested our resilience, compassion, and collective will to protect and preserve life. As a nation, we recognize the urgency to stem new HIV infections, particularly among the adolescents and young people. This year's theme, One Race, One Goal, End AIDS in Adolescents and Young People, is both timely and compelling. It serves as a call to action for Kenya to confront the persistent high rates of new infections within this demographic, even as we reaffirm our national and global commitment in ending AIDS as a public health threat by 2030. At a time when our nation stands on the threshold of transformational growth and opportunity, we are blessed with a vibrant, talented, and determined youth population, the true drivers of our country's development agenda. Yet the twin challenges of HIV and AIDS, coupled with rising teenage pregnancies, continue to weigh heavily on this vital segment of our population, threatening to rob our nation of its greatest promise, the energy and potential of our young people. Fellow countrymen, HIV and AIDS remains one of the world's most significant public health challenges, particularly in low and middle-income countries, including Kenya. The fact that it hits hard at the most vulnerable members of the society, the poor, the marginalized, and women and children who bear most of the burden of the epidemic, makes the situation even trickier. Today, it is estimated that more than 33 million people in the world are living with HIV. Of these, more than 22 million live in Africa, with approximately 3,200 people dying every day from AIDS-related illnesses. Furthermore, AIDS is the leading cause of death among adolescents in Africa and the second highest cause of death among adolescents globally, according to the WHO report of 2014. It is worth noting that adolescents are the only age group where deaths due to AIDS are not decreasing. In Kenya, I am glad to note that over 4 decades of relentless management of a pandemic that threatened the very fabric of our society has not only presented valuable lessons, but has also made us resilient to face similar challenges as they actively emerge. We are better prepared now than ever before to ensure that we do not lose the gains made in the response this far. Our national trajectory is positive, placing Kenya ahead of her peers in the region on matters HIV and AIDS. In this regard, I wish to congratulate our researchers, policy experts, programmers, and the entire spectrum of multi-sector synergy that is behind these results. As a result, Kenya occupies a space in the global arena, all for good reasons. Today, Kenya is not only a preferred destination for learning missions, but also a perfect ground for designing and launching of global HIV programs, as we have witnessed in the recent years. Ladies and gentlemen, as we speak, we have a total of 1,326,336 people living with HIV amongst us, basically 1.4 million people. Every year, Kenya requires 30 billion Kenya shillings to procure commodities for the prevention and management of HIV. As at 2024, 87% of people living with HIV were on the life-prolonging antiretroviral treatment, ART, with a PMTC coverage of 90.1%. This has had a direct effect in longer and with the virus, while HIV-positive mothers are able to deliver HIV-free babies, courtesy of innovations. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to assure you of the commitment of the Kenya government to ensuring access to comprehensive prevention, care, and treatment services to all. The government has worked with different development partners and stakeholders to reduce the burden of treatment by providing antiretroviral drugs to eligible persons living with HIV. Though the cost of HIV treatment has substantially reduced, many people still lack access to the life-saving drugs. The government is doing its best to ensure that access to antiretroviral treatment is enhanced. This is part of our commitment to the global target in meeting and reducing the number of HIV cases. In this regard, we have put in place mechanisms to ensure that we acquire and roll out the latest care and treatment technologies, including injectable ART, beginning next year. This is expected to ease the pill burden that is associated with oral ART, with the accrued benefit of enhanced treatment adherence. It goes without saying, the health of a labor force underpins sustainable socioeconomic development. In recognition of this fact, we as a government have prioritized investment in the health of our people through critical interventions. Indeed, reflecting on these interventions, much progress has been made every year. Infant mortality has reduced significantly, and our people are enjoying longer, healthier lives. Ladies and gentlemen, over the last few years, my government has stayed true to its commitment to the universal health coverage agenda and has ensured that we continue to provide 100% universal health coverage for essential health services, thereby guaranteeing quality and affordable health care to all Kenyans. This is through the social health insurance coverage that brings hope to Kenyan households. We are alive to the fact that health services, if not well planned, tend to drain family resources. It is for this reason that we continue to enhance the SHI package of services to include non-communicable diseases to bring relief to the citizens. My administration will continue to ensure greater access to quality and affordable health care for all Kenyans in the spirit of the Kenyan Constitution. Fellow Kenyans, unless we mitigate its effects, HIV and AIDS will continue to have a wide socioeconomic impact that threatens development, progress in Kenya. This is particularly so because it affects the most productive and energetic, people aged between 15 and 49 years. Employees, both in the public and private sector, are affected. In view of this, the Kenya government, through the National Syndemic Diseases Control Council, has developed strategies and facilitated the right environment that allows multi-sectoral interventions and promotes public-private partnerships in addressing HIV and other syndemic diseases. This has enabled all the actors to mobilize resources, both internally and externally, for implementing HIV and AIDS prevention activities. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the partners and stakeholders from Kenya and the other countries represented here for their commitment to the aspirations of our nation and the vision of establishing a safe society where every adolescent can be accounted for. As a country, our target is to end AIDS in adolescents and teenage pregnancy as a proxy indicator to new HIV indications. This is in line with a campaign dubbed #End the Triple Threat. Teenage pregnancies are a proxy indicator of indices of sexual violence, a risk factor for HIV acquisition and fuels inequalities. Girls who complete secondary school education have lower vulnerabilities than HIV. Teenage pregnancies impact the continuation of education for adolescent girls with negative effects on our efforts for 100% transition. Further, the high incidences of teenage pregnancies pose a significant challenge for socio-economic development. Teenage mothers are vulnerable to poor health outcomes, such as the risks of premature birth, low birth weight, and prenatal death, and the acquisition of HIV and other sexually transmitted infections. Teenage mothers diagnosed with HIV have to cope with the mistimed pregnancy, HIV diagnosis, and initiation into lifetime treatment during antenatal care. Adolescent mothers living with HIV also have poor outcomes within the prevention of the mother-to-child transmission continuum of services. In recent times, there has been a decrease in donor funding in supporting the fight against HIV due to the constantly changing global economic landscape. In this regard, I would like to urge all stakeholders to come together and help us achieve this goal in reducing the number of infections of HIV virus and more so teenage pregnancies. In order to achieve these targets, there is need for strategic investments that involve all stakeholders, both from the national and the grassroots levels. Ladies and gentlemen, despite challenges that continue to dog the HIV response, the Kenya government, on its part, has continued to focus on fighting HIV and AIDS. Kenya is credited among African countries like South Africa, Swaziland, and Zambia that have made remarkable progress towards universal access to ARVs that now stands at a coverage of 87.09%. It is also worth noting that there are more sophisticated treatment regimens now available to prevent the transmission of HIV. In this regard, I wish to recognize our able health personnel for resilience to ensure HIV and AIDS service continuity amidst emerging disease areas. Let us not lower our guard, but jealously protect the gains registered thus far. Sports activities, and in particular athletics, hold a special place in our national heritage, as it symbolizes national pride, upholding the country's long-standing excellence in long-distance races. The successful execution of the marathon races yesterday, in fact it's today, as an anchor of sporting activity to mark this year's World's Day commemoration was indeed timely, as it served to rally the country towards ending this epidemic. The fact that Kenyans stand up in large numbers, men and women, old and young, for the race is a clear manifestation of our resolve as a country to accelerate our efforts towards the finishing line in ending AIDS as a public health threat in a timely manner. I urge all stakeholders to sustain public education and advocacy as a necessary strategy and tool to tackle HIV and AIDS and ensure a safe society where our adolescents and young people can grow to realize their dreams. In conclusion, I would like to ask all stakeholders to play their respective roles and continue the relentless war against HIV and AIDS. Infections among youth and adolescents. Again, I would like to thank the National Syndemic Disease Control Council and other stakeholders for organizing and hosting us on this special day. With these few remarks, I wish you all the best. Thank you. Asanteni sana. Now that was the President's statement, if I listened to myself reading it, I think he put a lot of emphasis on the teenage pregnancies. Again, I think several paragraphs are dedicated to that. Basically, he's saying what Madam P.S. was saying and what you have all said, that no children with children. I think that is his solid message. No children with children. Now, I sat here and the PS was worried that I was going to leave early, and I said, this is such an important occasion, I'll have to sit through it so that we cover what needs to be covered. I don't think there would be something more important for me today beyond seeing through what you had planned up to now. This is a big challenge. We cannot afford to let it go because the resurgence is worrying, the resurgence is aggressive, and the resurgence needs to be checked before it finishes our young generation. The data that we have had from 16,000, I think 3 years or so ago, to 19,000 young, almost 20,000 cases. It was 19,900 and something. New cases of the young perishing because of the resurgence of AIDS is something for us to worry about and to reflect. Now, I requested that what was on the screen because Kenya recorded its first case in 1984. And the gentleman who was singing died in 1989. He was a Ugandan. Maybe the older ones may remember. But I was a young man, and this was during the early stages of that, the disease ravaging people. And for those of you who don't know Philly Lutaya, he was a great musician who then moved from Uganda, went to Sweden. And he was performing, and his songs were becoming hits, just the way it was indicated at the very last end. You'll see, I think when it comes to the end, if they can just pause there. He was singing, and those candles were being lit both in Sweden and in Uganda as he was singing his last song before he died of HIV and AIDS himself. A top-notch celebrity, world class, but then taken away by AIDS. So when we were sitting there, I just remembered many years ago there was this, let me try and look for it, found it, I requested. Thank you for bringing it out. Because if we don't let people see some of these things, just the way we saw the video in Busia, then they may not believe you. They may think it's a joke. It's painful. It's never intentional. That is, the contracting of the disease is never intentional. You just find you've been caught up. So it is real. We need to talk to our young people. We need to be courageous, the way you said. If we don't inculcate it now, integrate it in our educational processes, we are only living in denial. We should not live in denial on this matter. It is real. And there are other celebrities. This may be one. And I chose because it's just next door in Uganda. But there are other celebrities. People who have made their mark in the Hollywood of this world. Some of you, if you go back into history, you'll come across great actors like Rock Hudson. If you go back and you'll find that this was literally somebody with a body like that of Schwarzenegger. But by the time he was going, people could not recognize that that was the great actor called Rock Hudson. This gentleman who sang was very well built, very strong, very agile. You will see many of his clips performing either in Sweden or in other places, running with a lot of strength onto the podium. But towards the end, he had been rendered completely immobile by this devastating disease. So I thought it's important, especially for the younger people, go and Google him, listen to his music, know his story. Born in 1951, died in 1989 at the age of 38. His career as a celebrity, as a great musician, was terminated. So I'm talking to the young people in particular that let's not go too far. Let's just look within our midst. And you'll find that this disease knows no boundaries, knows no status. It clears everybody. In fact, as much as we may speak in our speeches as hitting the poorer communities or the less endowed communities more devastatingly, don't be cheated. Even the well-to-do, even the wealthy are not spared. So it is not a disease that affects the poor. It's a disease that affects humanity. Everybody alike. So let us be together in our strong campaign against the resurgence of HIV/AIDS. Maybe you can just go to the last component of that. That's him. Great musician. Now, can you hold it there? Hold it there, hold it there. There you are. Uganda's most famous artist to date. The most famous Ugandan artist to date. He was taken down. So, ladies and gentlemen, I didn't want to leave you on a sad note, but I just wanted to really drive this message home. Thank you.
Thank you, our Chief Guest of Honor. I request to ubaki hapo juu bado. Tuko na launch. We'll shortly be calling out a list. Kidogo tu. Wacha hii podium itolewe. Yeah. In the meantime, unaweza tuanzisha ile nyimbo ya Prime Cabinet Secretary. The same 2 years. Drag it back.
Thank you. Tuna mikono juu tafadhali. Tuna mikono juu sisi sote. Thank you. Let's appreciate ourselves. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And because of time, before we sit down, we want to launch Kenya AIDS Integrated Strategic Framework for 2025-2030. And I kindly request the team led by our chief guest to go on the other side where the launch will be happening. And on that side, we need the following kindly to be part and parcel of the launch. Karibu. Thank you. Let's go there. Then DOP, Director of Photography, kindly guide on how we can also receive live coverage from the mainstream and online media. Thank you so much. We'll be counting together a countdown from 5. And once we are reaching 1, we'll launch our 2025-2030 Kenya AIDS Integrated Strategic Framework, and we'll break into celebration, all of us. Are you ready to count together? Are you ready? I say 1 race. 1 race. 1 race. 1 race. Thank you so much. And now we count down together from 5 to 1. Are you ready? Let's start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Let us celebrate. Celebrate, 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 celebrate. Celebrate.
our chief guest to have a copy, and then we all face on that side so that we can receive copies from CEO, please. CEO, please. Thank you. Tupande juu sababu share please. Give a copy to the team that was here. Kindly, the rest of us just remain standing. Let's continue the celebration song, DJ. Let's continue please with the celebration song. Let's continue.
Let's all celebrate and have a good time. Celebration. We go celebrate and have a good time. It's time to...
Let's have a copy, please.
It's up to you. What's your plan?
Haya, shikilia yako vizuri. We okay? Have a copy. Make sure our media team can see your copy.
It's a celebration.
Thank you, DJ. Thank you.
Yeah, am I audible? Yes. Thanks. I just want to say that these two documents, the Kenya AIDS Integration Strategic Framework 2025 to 2030 and the progress report for 2025 were signed off by my brother and his team at the Ministry of Health, Honorable Duale, I think yesterday. Yesterday. They were signed off so that they can now be released to the public. So we want to commend my good brother, Honorable Duale, and his team, PS, the two PSs here, and the entire medical team, or Ministry of Health team, Asante Sana, and our partners. Thank you for all this effort, because this is going to be a very valuable way forward. Asanteni Sana. Master of Ceremony.
Let's pause for a photo, please. Celebration song as we continue, please. Make sure our media team can see your book.
Dedication to last throughout the years. So bring your good times.
And once I say yep, you say hooray, okay? Are we ready? Okay, hip hip! Hip hip! Hip hip! Thank you so much. And you want to go to the cake? Thank you so much. Let me remain with you, led by our chief guest for the cake. And at this juncture, welcome the PS State Department, Dr. Oluga, the PS Department for Children Welfare, Ms. Karen. Okay, sawa. Naambiwa kuna picha moja tu imebaki from the communication team. Kwa hivyo wapige haraka tafadhali, communication team tuharakishe. Now let's clear there for the cake. Enough space, please. Please, the following join our chief guest at the cake. One is the PS State Department for the Medical Services, Dr. Ouma, PS State Department for Children Welfare, Ms. Karen Adengo, and the CEO NSDCC, Dr. Bosire, Chair NSDC, Honorable Ahmed, and also Head of NASCOP, Dr. Mulwa, NEFAC Chair, Chilo Jecton, and then UN residents led by Mr. Atienza, and then last but not least, the AFF CEO, Mr. Kinyanjui. Please let me have those for the cake session only. Kindly let's keep distance so that the coverage can continue without any disturbance. And also allow me to welcome Marianne. Allow me to welcome Marianne Wambogo, who will come and join the team representing the World SD people living in the HIV network of persons also living with HIV and AIDS in Kenya network. Kwa hivyo, karibu sana, ameshafika. Thank you. Thank you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, senators, where are you? Kindly. Waheshimiwa kujeni, please. Okay. Mkubwa na mboru ni nyuma kidogo tu for the team. Now, allow me to hand over the mic to Marianne to say something. Kindly say something before we cut the cake.
Thank you so much. Allow me to override on the protocol already established. Bwana Prime Cabinet Secretary, just like Philly, some were our parents, our siblings, our relatives that we lost over the years. But with the support we've been able to garner from the development partners in our government,